Week 21 of the NBA 2021-22 season is over, which means it's time to run it back. This is Run It Back, NBA Week in Review.
The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's money, you can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Beach Basket. Up-to-date sports, post-game reports. Debates and play-by-play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket, coming soon on air. The Peach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the avid fans.
This is a show where we recap the week that was, then take a deep dive into that week for select teams. Tonight, I'll be joined by Isaac Edelman of our partner site, FLTeams.com, with an update on the Miami Heat. I'll provide short updates on the Los Angeles Lakers and Los Angeles Clippers. And I'm excited to hopefully get an Orlando Magic update tonight from Tom Chapo. Tom has been having some technical difficulties, so we're not sure if we're going to get him tonight, but fingers crossed. Before we get to the individual team recaps, we want to take a look back at the best averages of Week 21. The best scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks averaged in Week 21. These are the top performers of that week.
LeBron on the wing. LeBron. Ball back. Yes, sir! He's middleman. LeBron. Here he goes. Spinning all the way. Kind of it goes. It goes!
That is very unlike him.
He's at 72.5%. LeBron.
There it is. 50.
He
Another
put
nickel.
up a 50.
Another nickel.
Through some stretch of injuries, pandemic situation, the COVID certainly took its effect. At one point, we see the driving layup on the inside by John Collins.
Arsenal's in their offensive attack.
Well, that center high pick and roll, you can either lob it at the rim or bounce it.
To shoot, Curry, no. Jokic, a double-double here in the first. To shoot, Curry, no. Jokic, a double-double here in the first.
Back door to a cutting DiVincenzo, who throws it away. Three the Kings didn't get. Three the Nuggets did get, and now off the turnover. Two thought about a triple. Instead, we got a turnover.
The game was changed because of Jared Jackson Jr.'s defense. He has been the man amongst two.
You know, as great as that video was, celebrating the top performers of the week, it dawned on me that it's makes for a horrible podcast. Nobody could hear anything except for, the music, the noise in the background. Have to do a better job of presenting that moving forward. I will tell you that LeBron James was the leading scorer in Week 21. No surprise there. Nikola Jokic was the top rebounder. Trae Young was the top assist man. Jaren Jackson Jr. was the top block man. And Zeke Naji, somebody I've never heard of, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, played one game and had 4 assists. So he's the top, not assists, but rather steals. He was the top steal guy for the Denver Nuggets and all the NBA in Week 21. So that's kind of cool. We got to do a better job of presenting that so that everybody who is listening, as well as those of you that are watching, know what the heck it is we're talking about. Before we get into deep with our in-depth updates, we want to kind of call out the obvious, man. It's March, which means it's time for March Madness. College basketball fans, join the action on the court during the biggest tournament of the year with DraftKings Sportsbook. Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win, and you get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win. With promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, let's get right into the detailed specific updates for specific teams. We're going to start by dropping the pin in Los Angeles and talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, we're going to make this one. These updates generally aren't particularly long, but these are going to be shorter than even normal. Right now, the season's winding down. The teams are who they are. A lot of times we'll spend time talking about, what the team needs, what the team could do to turn it around, whatever. There's no turning anything around now for the Lakers or any team. The teams are who they are. $1 and any team and get pretty much locked into where they're going to be within a game. That's promo code TBPN. For the Lakers, unfortunately, sportsbook, that's the play-in sponsor. That is their best bet. So overall, they did not have a great week. Again, they were 1-2 in week 21. The concern for them is, the ongoing Russell Westbrook drama, and just his inability to fit in with this team, which is on one hand baffling. On the other hand, it's not all that baffling. The team news, though, and this is really kind of the focus, and this is what we've got to talk about in Lakerland, because it just hasn't been a particularly good season, but we're watching the greatest who's ever done it, doing things at his age that nobody's ever done. LeBron James in his last 3 games had 2 50-point games, 156 and 150. And he's turned, crypto/Staples into a destination. Again, you go to watch what he's going to do, which is great. And he does amazing things, but, unfortunately, it's just not turning into wins. So the Lakers are spinning their wheels. They're still, they 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You cannot rely on 50-point games from a 37-year-old LeBron James or a 27-year-old LeBron James. You just can't. You can't rely on that to win. The Lakers are going to need more, and they're starting a tough stretch now with the Phoenix Suns up next. It's going to be difficult for them to hold off the Pelicans, although the Pelicans have had a little bit of a rough stretch themselves. But anyway, that's it. That's the update. Short and sweet. Unfortunately, things just continue to be more of the same for the Los Angeles Lakers. Isaac, I know you watched that game. I think you watched the last game against the Wizards. Anything to add about the Lakers before we drop the pin in Miami?
There's really nothing to add. The Lakers are practically dead meat at this point, but that's a bad way to put it, I guess. But they still have hopes, and I think their hopes are to make the play-in tournament and hopefully win and make it as the 8th seed or even the 7th seed if they can. But yeah, again, in this week 21, LeBron James dropped 50 points, 1 game, and they won that game. So that's a good way to recap the week for the Lakers.
And when you dropped 56 against the Warriors, which was not in week 21, but they won that game too. And again, that's what they need to win games. They need that kind of offensive firepower. They had hoped to get half of that from LeBron, half of that from AD, or maybe a third from LeBron, a third from AD, and a third from Westbrook. It just hasn't worked out that way. But on we go. Let's go ahead and drop the pin now. Cross country to Miami, where the news is a little better for the Heat than it is for the Lakers. Isaac, what kind of week did the Heat have?
Well, the Heat had a fantastic week. Another winning record week for the Heat. But most importantly, and I'll start off with this, was the news the Heat had. The Heat got Victor Oladipo back at the beginning of this week, which was the first game against the Houston Rockets. The Heat also got Kyle Lowry back for this game. Lowry's been out for a while this season with personal reasons, but he came back as soon as Oladipo came back, which was nice to see. PJ Tucker also had some injury issues, and he came back for that game against the Houston Rockets. So it was a nice start to this week for Miami because they got they're a healthy team back. And, of course, Miami goes and beats the Rockets 123-106. Bam Adebayo has been impressive in this game. 18 points, 10 rebounds. PJ Tucker, 11 points and 12 rebounds. Well, 2 players with double-doubles. That's a very good sign. Miami's next game was against, let's say a much tougher team, the Phoenix Suns, the first-place team in the West. So this matchup, you got the best team in the East against the best team in the West, potentially an NBA Finals preview, but sadly the Heat lost. Jimmy Butler did not play for the Heat, but CP3 didn't play for the Suns. So in my opinion, both of those cancel out. There's no excuses. And the Heat were at home, so you think the Heat would win, but they didn't. On the positive side, The Suns are a good team, so it's not that much of a defeating loss. And also, we already beat the Suns this season in Phoenix, which is something to note. So again, the Heat lose that game 111-90.
There was some big news. Oh, go ahead. I think I stepped on you. I know there was some big news out of Miami today.
Yes, but we're not up to that point
Oh,
yet.
I'm sorry.
Miami's last game, which is on Friday night, was against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a very good team this season.
Yeah.
The Heat won 117-105. Bam Adebayo, man. 30 points and 17 rebounds. He's starting to grow on me. I always knew he was good.
You're rough on him. You were rough on him.
I'm rough on him because he's a defensive player of the year candidate, but he struggles on offense. And on defense, too, there's a lot of nights where he doesn't get more than 10 rebounds. And that's important because the Heat are not one of the biggest teams in the NBA. But yeah, 30 points, 17 rebounds. I'll take that every day of the week. Now, while we're recording this, if you guys are watching this live or if you guys are watching this after we're live, the Heat are currently playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Guess who's back? Markieff Morris. First time since early November. Yes, that's how long his injury has been. Specifically, it was a whiplash injury. Nikola Jokic, we know, the reigning MVP, pushed and shoved Morris, and he's been out ever since. One little push. It's a big push. I'm just going to say one little push.
Yeah.
Has kept him out so long. But he's back tonight. And yeah, I mean, the Heat are fully healthy. Now, tonight, no Jimmy Butler, no Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin recently suffered a big injury, but luckily the Heat have all of their top pieces back. Again, that's Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, who is the runaway sixth man of the year candidate, PJ Tucker, Robinson, and of course now Oladipo. Look, this Heat team is ready to go. I am upset they lost to the Suns because that would really tell me they are the best team in the NBA. As of now, I can't say that. I will go with the Suns, and simply because they don't have CP3 and they are still winning games. But yeah, that's the week for the Heat. Again, 2-1. We got Oladipo back. He's still on a minutes restriction. Oh, by the way, Oladipo is out tonight, like Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin against the Timberwolves. So more injury concerns, I don't know. But with Oladipo, they're going to take it slowly. But I know you've said this a lot, Jose, in our private Slack chat. The Heat are getting their guys back at the right time.
Right.
This is so important, and we'll see. I mean, hey, Markieff Morris is not an integral piece on the Heat, but he is still a piece, and you have to remember that. And he definitely has some veteran leadership. Not that the Heat need more, but hey, it's always good to have another piece in the locker room. So
Keith is a solid player. He's going to give you 6 fouls. He's going to play tough defense, and he'll hit a big shot. And that's exactly the kind of player you want in a championship team when you want to make a championship run. The NBA is on notice. The Heat are good. The Heat are number 1 in the East. They're number 1 in my Eastern Conference power rankings and our Eastern Conference power rankings. And now they're whole, which is scary, absolutely frightening for the rest of the NBA. The East is going to be fascinating. This year in terms of that playoff run and seeing who comes out of the East. So yeah, I'm excited. Great update as always. Let's drop the pin back across the country to Los Angeles and talk Los Angeles Clippers basketball. Like the Lakers, I'm going to keep this one short. You see their record there, 1-3. There aren't a whole lot of concerns. There's not a whole lot of drama with the Clippers. I thought most interesting this week was Patrick Beverley on JJ Redick's podcast said that the Clippers lowballed him a little bit, which was a little, frustrating. I didn't hear a lot of buzz about that on Clippers Twitter, which was a bit surprising because Patrick Beverley was a favorite and a great player. When you call somebody like Pat Bev a great player, you get a lot of pushback. He is not going to show up on the box score every night. There's no doubt about it. But he is an impact guy. He makes a difference in the locker room. He makes a difference when he plays the game. And you can see what he's done for the Timberwolves, who are playing the Heat right now. He's a solid player. And to think that the Clippers might have lowballed him is rough. But when you think of the fact that they essentially flipped him, a solid player, for Norman Powell, Robert Covington, I think that he's the pain of that particular news. The Clippers really right now, I think, are playing for next season. It's difficult to accept that as a fan of the team, but I think that's where they are right now. They do have Covington is not signed, but Norman Powell, a solid big three with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, all who should be back and healthy next season. That's a solid three players. And then hopefully they can bring back the likes of Robert Covington, who's been pretty good for the Clippers this season. I don't know. They're solidly in the play, and they will likely come out of the play-in tournament. I would suspect that would happen. And then they're going to have, first round matchup against the Suns or the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, there might be an opportunity there for an upset. But, the Clippers, are just not that well known outside of Los Angeles. And they're a good team. They're a solid team, but they're a team without any superstars. And that's only going to take you so far. The fact that they are where they are is impressive. And, it's really, really, really good to see. Shout out to Clipper Nation. They have been waiting patiently for this team to finally break through. This likely won't be the year, but next year is looking really, really good. Have you gotten a chance to see any Clippers games at all, Isaac, this season? I can't hear you, man.
I've watched a few Laker games this season, and they've
Lakers. We're talking Clippers.
Well, I know, but they've been against the Clippers, so.
Okay. No, and it's funny, and that's what's always rough for Clippers fans, right? Every single time, it's about the Lakers. Yeah, I've seen the Clippers when they play the Lakers because the Lakers on TV.
Well, guess what, Jose? That's why I said I've seen the Lakers play.
Yeah.
I said that first because my focus, I'll be honest, my focus is completely on the Lakers. Maybe that would change if Kawhi or PG was playing. Now, by the way, at the beginning of the season, I did see a lot of Clipper highlights on Twitter because PG was just going off every night, which is quite unusual. And by the way, PG is one of the most talked about players in the NBA, whether he's good or bad, because when he's bad, people will bash him. When he's good, people will love him. And that's when I saw a lot of Clippers. But now the Clippers are relying on people like, Leonard, not Luke Kennard. Sorry.
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, no. I knew where you were going. Luke Kennard, right? These are not household names. Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, maybe the only one that some people have heard of. This is a team of they're not nobodies. This is a team of solid NBA players that have gotten together and have played really, really good basketball. I love watching them play. But when you stack that team up against a team as seasoned as the Suns, or the Utah Jazz, they're just going to have some difficulties. So, unfortunately, this might not be the season for them, but right now they've got to be the favorites at 22-23. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. Now, we had hoped for the first time in Run It Back history to get an update on the Orlando Magic, but Tom had some technical difficulties.
Well, I could do it if you want me to.
Well, I'm going to let Tom do it because he did send us a message, and this is what he said. He apologizes for the technical difficulties. Yeah. He did drop a bomb. We've heard of Woj bombs. This is a Tom bomb. He said the Orlando Magic are going to upset the 76ers tomorrow night. He didn't say he thinks. No, he did. But it would be a lot more impressive if he just declared it. But he has a feeling that there will be an upset tomorrow. What do we think? Are the Magic the biggest spoiler in the entire NBA, or are they just a huge bluff? I can't speak to the Orlando Magic, which is why, this show is all about the fans and dropping the pin in the areas that, where fans could talk about, speaking of dropping the pin, could talk about their team. So I'll defer to you, Isaac. The Magic, do you see them surprising the Sixers tomorrow? What do you think about them in short?
The Magic have won 2 straight games against the Pelicans and against the Timberwolves. I think the Magic can win and beat the 76ers. And you know what, Tom? Because I like you so much, Tom, I am going to agree with you. Because I like you so much, Tom, I am going to agree with you. The Orlando Magic will upset the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers are coming off a terrible, terrible loss to the Brooklyn Nets, and they are going to suffer a terrible loss to the Orlando Magic, who have Markelle Fultz back, who have two big men who are going off lately, Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. This Magic team is not a good team, but they are good because teams underestimate them. And that's when they win games. And that's what happened against the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Look, Wendell Carter had 20 points and 10 rebounds against the Timberwolves, which was last night. Mo Bamba, 27 points and 12 rebounds. Oh, yeah, guess what? Cole Anthony added 15. Markel Fultz added 14. This Magic team is going to be underestimated, and that is why they will beat the Sixers. Not because of skill, not because of talent, not because the Magic are a bigger team, not because they are a smaller team, not because they're quicker, not because they're better coached, but because Tom said so.
You heard it here first.
And also because of underestimation. But yes, because Tom said so.
Right on. He is glad that someone agrees with him, and I am too. I want it to happen now. One last word. Well, maybe not the last word, but I do want to throw this out here. Another comment that Tom made. He enjoys the talent of the Clippers. They have so much youth and talent. They're a good team and absolutely a favorite next season. All right, that's our recap of the week. We are going to go ahead and now shift gears and talk NBA question of the day. I enjoy this. This is a chance for us to kind of, share our thoughts on a hot topic of the week. There is not a hot topic this week. Of course, Greg Popovich just became the all-time winningest coach in NBA history. I thought about asking a question around that, but it's so hard. The whole conversation on the greatest player of all time is very subjective. Greatest coach of all time is even harder. But congratulations to Pop. What a joy it's been to watch him, play those teams. Every team that he has coached, from the USA teams to the Spurs teams, have just been, well coached, well disciplined, do not make mistakes, and just been really great to watch that and be a part of that. At least to be able to watch it. I wasn't a part of it at all. At least I was able to watch it. But that's not the NBA question of the day. The NBA question of the day today. And Tom, if you're still watching, feel free to chime in. Who is your sleeper pick to be champ in 2022? We often ask about the favorites, right? And the favorites at the start of the season, think back, were the Lakers and the Nets. Right now, I don't think anybody would be putting a lot of money on either of those two teams. As the seasons progress, things happen. But we always talk about who's the favorite, who's number one, who's going to win it all. I'm not asking that. I'm not asking who's the favorite. Who's the team that's kind of bubbling, right? Maybe coming in under the radar, who could win it all, and you wouldn't be at all surprised. And if you had money to bet, you'd make a pretty betting if you bet on this team. Who is your sleeper pick in 2022? Isaac, you get the first pick.
Well, I wish I could say the Miami Heat, but look, sadly, they are not a sleeper team, and I guess that's not really sadly. I'm glad they're not. That means people are noticing how good they are. My sleeper pick to be the champ in 2022 is the Memphis Grizzlies. I think if you guys are big NBA fans, you know about them because of their star player, John Morant. But you guys also have to remember what the Grizzlies did to Golden State last year in the play-in tournament. Memphis upset Golden State. I don't know if you guys remember that. Golden State did not make the playoffs. And that is because the Grizzlies spoiled their hopes. And that was really with just John Morant. Now, the Grizzlies added Steven Adams and someone who I love. He is a rookie, Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
I really love this Grizzlies team. Right now, they're second in the West, and I think if they win the championship, I won't be surprised. I mean, I will. I'll let you guys know a secret. The Heat are going to win. But, yeah, they're going to be my sleeper pick. They are a talented team. And John Morant could easily carry the Grizzlies in the playoffs if he plays the whole game. It's different than LeBron because if you compare their age differences, and plus, right, John Morant is, I think, the most athletic player in the NBA, and I think he might soon be the most athletic player in NBA history. Michael Jordan wasn't that athletic. LeBron has never been that athletic. John Morant is athletic, and he, in the playoffs, playing the full game, could carry the Grizzlies. Plus, Desmond Bane will knock down threes. Steven Adams will play defense. Yeah, the Grizzlies are my sleeper pick.
I agree with you. They are my sleeper pick as well. One fact check: Desmond Bain, second-year player, not a rookie, but didn't
Really?
have a particular. Yeah, I didn't have a particularly standout rookie year. So
Really?
I can
That surprises me. Wow.
yeah. But yeah, like I said, he didn't have. He had flashes of what he was going to be his rookie year, but he's made a big step forward. Man, the Grizzlies are solid. And when I came up with this question and I thought about it, I immediately went to the Grizzlies, and my thought was, well, they're not really a sleeper. I mean, they're number 2 in the West right now.
They still are a
But
sleeper, though.
agreed, 100%. Not very many people are talking about the Grizzlies outside of Memphis, or people who really understand the game.
I completely forgot to mention arguably their second best player. I kept on bringing Desmond Bain, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr. He's amazing.
No, he's incredible, and he has been our top performer for blocks more times than anybody. He's just solid. He doesn't make mistakes. He's a really, really good player. That's a really, really good team. Now, the big knock on them is they've never been there, and so having them get past the first round, I think, is very likely. Second round, obviously, like always, for every team, is going to get a little tougher. If they can get out of the Western Conference and they don't have this deer in the headlight, kind of moment, they could really have an impact. I said at the start of this season that the Atlanta Hawks were going to be the Phoenix Suns this season. In that, if you remember back in the bubble, the Phoenix Suns went 8-0, and they started to realize how good they could be. They didn't advance out of there because they just weren't good enough, even though they won all 8 games in that weird bubble season. But then the next season, they made it to the finals. I thought the Hawks were going to take that big jump this season. They really haven't, but the Grizzlies have. And if the Suns could make it all the way to the finals, the Grizzlies at least have that potential. Now, the difference, of course, is you've got the leadership of Chris Paul. Ja Morant is a phenomenal player, so fun to watch, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to lead. But you never know. They've surprised this far, this long. They might continue to do so. They are my sleeper pick as well. I'm going to give the last word to Tom. I'm grateful you're still watching, Tom. Thank you. I know you had those technical difficulties.
Also, one quick thing before we go to Tom. If you guys missed last week's running back, I compared the Memphis Grizzlies to the Cincinnati Bengals of the NFL. So
you did. And they did what the Suns did. They got to the finals, but they lost. Yeah.
Yep.
Tom's sleeper pick it's a good one.
Again, by the way, they're going to lose to the Heat. That's why they're going to lose, because they're going to lose to the Heat.
Of course.
So it all lines up. Well, let's see if Tom lines up, though, because I lined up with him for the Sixers Magic, but I don't know what we got going on down here.
His pick for sleeper is the Dallas Mavericks to grab the championship title. Luka Doncic is for real. He absolutely is, and they are one of the top teams who can move up in the ranking system. Yeah, I like the Mavericks. The Mavericks have lost to the Clippers twice in the playoffs, and they're a different team this season. They became a different team when they shipped out Porzingis. They look solid. They play defense now. And I guess credit goes to Jason Kidd. Something changed in that team this season. That is a solid pick, Tom. I said the last word was going to go to Tom, and that was it. I lied. This is Tom's last word, and I hesitate to put it up, but I'm going to anyway. I would like to see the Heat versus the Warriors for the title this season. I can't help but think that Isaac agrees. Isaac, I'm going to give you the last word, because you actually have the ability to speak and share here, where Tom unfortunately does not, but we appreciate you watching and listening, Tom, and sharing your thoughts. If it's Heat versus Warriors, and let's say they're healthy, let's say Klay Thompson's back, obviously Draymond is back, this is a solid team. How many games does it take for the Heat to win?
0.
Wait, what do you mean 0? You got to win 4.
Yeah, they're not going to win.
Oh, you think the Warriors beat the Heat?
They're the newsbreaker. The Golden State is the only team that scares me. The Heat are a defensive team. And when I say the Heat are a defensive team, you say, okay, then they're stopped Steph Curry. Steph Curry cannot be stopped, especially in the playoffs. So the Heat are going to have to keep up with Golden State. I think Golden State's the only team that the Heat can't keep up with. And the Heat are not going to stop them, even though they're the best defensive team in the NBA. Yeah, the Golden State's the only team that scares me. And honestly, I don't think the Heat match up with them, because the Heat are a defensive team, but they're not the Golden State defense that can stop them. They're like because Golden State shoots threes from way outside of the arc. The Heat steal balls, block shots, interior defense, right? Jimmy Butler, interior, not exterior. Duncan Robinson can't guard people. Tyler Hero can't guard people. Yeah, Golden State's the only team that scares me, the only team. The Phoenix Suns don't scare me. You just lock down Devin Booker, put Butler on Booker, or even PJ Tucker, we're done. By the way, the last game the Heat played the Suns, I know the Heat lost. Bam Adebayo was on Devin Booker. That's interesting.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Number one, we got a prediction that the Magic are going to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. Number two, we got an admission from Isaac that a team is better than the Heat. And number three,
no,
that's what you said. You can't take it back.
I did not.
And number three, we went 40 minutes without once bringing up Omer Yurtseven. What is happening? What is happening?
Hey, we need to I never said Golden State's better than the Heat. They're just going to beat the Heat.
That makes them better.
Oh, come on. The Heat are the best team in the NBA.
Tom, last word is yours. It will go to 7 games. I cannot wait to see how this plays out. This is why I love sports, because we just don't know. You tip it up and you let the players figure it out. That's it. Week 21 is in the books. Please join us next week, hopefully without any technical difficulties, when we run back week 22. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again next week.
The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's is money. You can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Peach Basket. Up-to-date sports, post-game reports, debates and play-by-play coverage straight off the court. The voice of the fan, making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket, come and tune on there. The Peach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the average fan.